Donald Trump was asked to be interviewed at the National Association of Black Journalists. There were three Black journalists that were there that were interviewing him. And it went as well or as badly as you would suspect that it would have went. In fact, a lot of people are saying that it went worse, that it could not have gone worse for Donald Trump. Even people on the right looked at this whole conference or this whole interview and said, oh boy, this just is not good. They might have even agreed with what he was saying, but the way he was saying it and everything that came out of his mouth was laughable, was racist, and was just Donald Trump being unfiltered. And the more and more time goes on, and if he sees himself continuing to slip in the polls and he starts to feel like things are starting to slip from his grasp, because just a few weeks ago, there was an assassination attempt on his life that nobody is literally talking about anymore. The really only thing they're talking about is whether or not he was shot with a bullet or he wasn't. I've said on this show for 4 straight weeks now, or 4 straight shows now, that he was not shot with a bullet. There's nobody that can convince me unless a doctor, a legitimate doctor, comes out and says, yes, he was shot with the bullet. Here's why, and gives me the proof. But until then, that dude was hit with some sort of shrapnel. Something happened, because if you see his ear now, it is perfectly fine. But he had this momentum going. He had that. He had the debate, which everybody deemed as a disaster, which it was. It was not good at all. But as I said at the time, because of the news cycle that we have in this country, that people would have forgotten about it at some point. However, I do understand that from that point until the election, every word that Joe Biden says would have been scrutinized, and everything. There would have been too much news on Joe Biden that was negative rather than positive, which would have made the obstacles harder and harder to overcome. But at the end of the day, I truly still believe that Joe Biden would have won. If you agree, let me know in the comments. If you do not agree, let me know in the comments as well. But anyway, he was at this interview, and boy, it was a doozy. So we certainly have some clips. The first clip we're going to play is they were asking him. There was it was set up with the elephant in the room as to whether or not he should have even been invited. And here is how the interaction went in the beginning there.
So appreciate you giving us an hour of your time. I want to start by addressing the elephant in the room, sir. A lot of people did not think it was appropriate for you to be here today. You have pushed false claims about some of your rivals, from Nikki Haley to former President Barack Obama, saying that they were not born in the United States, which is not true. You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from. You have used words like animal and rabid to describe black district attorneys. You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir, now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question in such a horrible manner. First question. You don't even say, hello, how are you? Are you with ABC? Because I think they're a fake news network, a terrible network.
Okay, so I'm going to play the rest of this clip here. That's Rachel Scott, by the way, who did an excellent job. I mean, she was the ones in all the clips I have. She was the ones who was asking all the questions that got him riled up. But I was saying earlier, the one reason why he may not debate is you could tell how he's setting it up. The other night, Sean Hannity had mentioned something to the fact that if the journalists are going to just be nasty to him and there's no sense in him debating. He did this once before in the beginning, not too long ago, sort of giving the idea that he should not debate. But he did that with Joe Biden originally. And now he's doing it here. So the interesting thing here is that ABC is supposed to be hosting the next debate. And you notice that he pointed out that she is from ABC. So that is giving me the impression he knows that she's from ABC right off the bat. He probably knew that she was going to ask tough questions. So this is his setup, just like he does when he thinks he's going to lose an election. Before the election, he just lets everybody know how it's going to be rigged. This is what he's doing now. Oh, you're from ABC, the same broadcasting network that's going to be hosting the debate. So he wants to set up this idea that everything's going to be unfair for him. So there is no reason to debate. But the real story is that we all know, and he knows it, and the people around him know it, that he wants nothing to do with debating Kamala Harris. Literally nothing. However, I still believe his ego and him getting goaded into it because she's laying in pretty hard about this debate. And it's going to be other people, the Lincoln Project and George Conway, who started a new PAC, calling him crazy. It's going to be all these people who are just going to get in his head, and he might be in a way forced into a debate. But I think there's one thing that we all know for sure. We are really hoping it happens, but let's finish the clip.
And I think it's disgraceful that I came here in good spirit. I love the black population of this country. I've done so much for the black population of this country.
And so that's the first clip. And, believe it or not, that one did not get the most attention. But we're going to move on to the next clip where this is just another trope of the right that is just, it's so irritating. And so I wouldn't even say it's frustrating, because I think most people know that this is garbage, and you're going to get, Lana and I actually had this discussion the other night. They were asking about abortion, and she was saying that the Trump supporters and all these people know that it is not true that people are not having abortions after the baby is born. And I pushed back a little bit and said, I don't know. I mean, I know that there are a lot of MAGA people who do not know that. I understand that. But I do think that some of them listen to this and they truly believe it. There are clearly a lot of conspiracy theorists and people out there who want to believe things that are so over the top with doing absolutely no research whatsoever. In fact, I got a little clip later on that's going to prove that out a little bit more. But let's listen to Donald Trump on this ridiculous answer about abortion.
J.D. Vance?
I'm going to get my J.D. Vance question in. To your point and to Rachel's point, he, has a lot of opinions about childless women like myself or divorced people like yourself. Do you think, well... I mean, my point is here.
But it was said in a friendly manner.
My point is, do you think the Republican Party is getting a little bit too judgy about people's lives when you think about abortion or when you think about what J.D. Vance is saying?
I don't think, look, I think that the Democrat Party is really the one that has the problem. I think they're radical on abortion because they're allowing abortion in the 9th month. They're allowing the death of a baby after the baby is born, based on the governor of Virginia. Based on the governor of Virginia, they're allowing the death of the baby after it's born. They're allowing abortions in the 8th and 9th month.
Well, Democrats have denied.
I think they're right,
Yeah, that's the same bullshit that we continue to hear over and over again, and that is the one thing. And I hate to say the word good, but that's the one good thing that Donald Trump has for him, I should say. This is not a good thing overall, but for him it's good, is that he has the complete ability to run over the person that is asking him these questions. They want to get in their points and say, whoa, everything you're saying is completely wrong. Like the reporter there was basically telling him that is illegal in every state. He just runs right over it and continues to press on with the same garbage. But yeah, for people to listen to this guy and go, I'm voting for him because he's going to stop the abortions that happen after the babies are born, is so insane. And that's where we are in this country now. We are voting on insanity. And as I'm going to get into something here in a little bit too that is just completely insane, and it's something that they say about the left that makes us insane, but a lot of it's just not true. But I want to get a little bit more to these clips here. This is him being asked about releasing the prisoners on January 6th.
To about January 6th. You called yourself the candidate of law and order. Yeah. When Time Magazine asked you if you would consider pardoning all the rioters, you said, yes, absolutely. Sure. You called them patriots. 140 police officers were assaulted that day. Their injuries included broken bones. At least one officer lost an eye. One had 2 cracked ribs, 2 smashed spinal discs. Another had a stroke. Were the people who assaulted those 140 officers, including those I just mentioned, patriots who deserve pardons?
Well, let me bring it back to modern day. Like about 5 days ago, we had an attack on the Capitol, a horrible attack on the Capitol. You saw the people that were protesting and spraying these incredible monuments, bells, lions, all these magnificent limestone and granite with red paint, red spray paint that will never actually come off, especially in the limestone. It will never. I'm a builder. I know about this stuff.
This is so fucking stupid. I mean, he is comparing what happened on January 6th to a few protesters that were outside the Capitol protesting the Israel-Palestine war, and he's comparing spray painting something to officers getting killed, getting injured, getting beaten up, and these animals attacking the Capitol and breaking in. Let's go with the premise that they always like to say, that it was just a bunch of people walking around like it was a tourist thing. The fact that you broke into a place that was not open to the public on that day and just ravaged the place and rampaged everything, and they did all kinds of desecrating the Capitol. He's comparing that to the same thing. So this is what they do always. They always take one situation and they go, what about this? What about that? What about the shooting at the schools? Oh, yeah, but what about Chicago? You guys don't want to talk about Chicago. It's like, can you just answer the specific question? And at this point, we all know they're not going to. What they're going to do is they're just going to maneuver to something that is going to be the both sidesism of everything in this country. But the difference here is, what they're doing here is they're taking, it's not even apples and oranges. It's 2 completely different sports that we're talking about. So, but let's finish up the clip here where he's talking more nonsense.
You'll see it in 100 years from now. They viciously attacked our government. They fought with police. They fought with them much more openly than I saw on January 6th. What's going to happen to those people? What's going to happen to the people in Portland that destroyed that city?
But sir, my question is on those.
What's going to happen to the people that tried to bring
rioters who assaulted officers?
You have to
would you pardon
what's
those
going to
people?
Happen? Oh, absolutely, I would.
You would pardon those?
If they're innocent, I would pardon them.
They've been convicted.
And by the way, the Supreme Court just they were convicted by a very tough system.
Convicted by a very tough system. I don't even know what that means. I mean, I think there are a lot of people in that audience that probably knows about a very tough system. Look, it's this ridiculousness that I don't know. When I talk to Lana about this all the time, when I was growing up, if you heard this nonsense on a stage and you were being asked these questions and those were the kind of answers you got, literally, nobody would even talk to that person anymore as a serious person, as a candidate for the United States of America. But now we are interviewing this guy, and there are outlets that are taking this guy seriously, and we're treating him as if he is a serious person and a serious candidate. And to me, that kind of stuff gets scary, and it's not good for the future of our country. If we're taking that kind of stuff seriously, I just don't know. But this last clip needs absolutely no introduction. I got the most news for the entire week, so let's just roll it. And I'm sure you've seen it, but it's it certainly is worth seeing again.
That Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman?
Well, I can say, no, I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much. And she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She is always identified as a black woman. She went to a historically black college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do you believe that
I think somebody should look into that too when you ask, continue in a very hostile, nasty tone.
Yeah, I mean, so she became a black person, and they keep doing this thing where somebody is black when it's convenient for them, or I guess that's what he was saying. There's no way, I can't imagine even somebody as stupid as this guy. There's just literally no way that he can't comprehend that there are two ethnicities or two races that are different and get together and have a child together, and they can claim, both. So, I mean, you saw Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods was called Asian and he was called black. He had an Asian mother and he had a black father. Kamala Harris had a Jamaican father, which I guess that's the thing that they're saying. They're saying that Jamaican isn't black. I think, there are a lot of Jamaican people would like to have a word with you on that one. And she had an Indian mother. So, if that's the continued sort of road they want to go down on attacking Kamala Harris, I think Lana said it before, as a black woman, she 100% welcomed that. Just continue to do that. I think it's one of Kamala Harris's best strategy is just to let this fucking guy talk and just let him go on and on. In fact, if they do a debate, it might be a good idea to keep the microphones open. Forget about shutting them off. Let that idiot try to interrupt her. Let him try to interrupt a professional prosecutor. I absolutely would love to see it. In fact, she should, as she's doing these rallies and she's goading him into it, she'll go out and say, you know what, Donald, we'll even leave the microphones on. We don't even have to turn them off on this one. You can talk as much as you want to, because she will absolutely destroy him. But again, at the end of the day, there's so many different routes that they're taking so far. And I promise you, it's not going to work out for them. They're going to do this thing where they're going to confuse her race. They're going to do this thing where they're going to call her a whore, basically, that she slept her way to the top. Fine. Again, that's not going to work out very well with the independent women. What Donald Trump does not understand, and I don't think at this point he's ever going to understand, and the people surrounding him may even be trying to tell him, you got to slow down on this stuff. But I don't think he cares or believes it. I think he believes that he's in a perfect position to win, and that he's just going to continue to be the same guy that got him there. And, I think even if somebody told him, say, you got to change strategies, you can't do this, I think he's still going to roll with it. I think he's still going to do the misogyny thing. I think he's going to do the racist thing. And there's nothing that's going to stop him. And you know what? It's going to be welcomed from the other side, because, as I was going to say, he's already got those voters that think that's hilarious and think that's so cool and funny. But it's the voters he needs to get in order to win the election. And he's going to continue to lose more and more and more voters as we go along. And again, like I said, I think at the end of the day, this is just not going to work out well for him at all.